Are you looking for the best nut milk makers? In this video we will look at some of the 5 best nut milk makers on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description. So make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Starting at number 1. Growup Plant-Based Milk Maker. The Growup is a modern nut milk maker that looks sleek on your countertop and makes good nut milk. If you like the design and want to save a little money compared to the Numilk M1, then this may be the best choice. Comparably, there are some design flaws, but the Growup is still a solid option. The removable cap on the top snaps nicely into place and feels secure. It also acts as a measuring cup, 1 cup, so you can just scoop your nuts directly. You then put 3 to 4 cups of water directly inside, depending on how thick you want your milk to be. You have to make sure the blade is pushed on tight. One cycle I tested completely failed to grind the nuts. Just water came out. I realized I didn't push the blade down enough, so I tried again and it worked fine. The Growup has a small touchscreen interface to guide you through making your milk. You pick which type of milk you want to make, and then it directs you to insert the nuts in milk. Cashew milk took me 6 minutes and 10 seconds to make. The machine makes a loud blending noise. It freaked my cats out, for about a minute before anything starts pouring out. For the remaining 5 minutes it then switches between pouring out and blending. The product doesn't come with a container for the milk, so I put a bowl underneath to catch the milk. I then poured it into my own glass carafe to store in the fridge. When the milk pours out of the machine's spout, there's a bit of a splash zone, so I needed to wipe down the machine afterward. The milk that came out for each nut milk I made was pretty smooth, although there was definitely a little pulp in each. The cleaning cycle on this is helpful. Once the milk cycle is complete, you can go right into cleaning it by removing the filter and pouring in water. It then takes 4.5 minutes for it to wash and swoosh around and pour out all the gunky pulp. It can get a little annoying because you have to remove the dirty filter and reattach the blade to do this. I'd rather not have to handle the blade so much, to avoid cutting myself on it. And you also still have to then wash the filter by hand. You also need to wipe down some final remnants in the machine with a cloth after the cleaning cycle. Sometimes it doesn't dispense enough gunk and I had to run the clean cycle twice. It's not a perfect cleaning system, but it's definitely a big help. Number 2. Numilk Home Machine. The Numilk is unique for nut milk makers in that you don't actually insert nuts and water into the machine. I like the final product, but I'm not sure why this entire machine is necessary to make these milks. It comes with a variety of concentrated flavor packets, which you then tear and insert into the top of the machine. You fill the provided container with water, place it in the machine, and then the packet empties out into the water and gets blended together. They do get mixed very well, but you could really just use a blender if you don't want to buy a whole extra gadget. The flavor packets are pretty tasty, so you could in theory just buy those on their own and blend them yourself. If you want the full Numilk experience, you could also subscribe to get your favorite flavor packets in the mail regularly. The packets cost between $15 and $24 for a pack of 4, and also come in packs of 12. The flavor packets make great additions to drinks. I tend to like to froth them and then pour over an iced coffee. It's a good way to add flavor in your coffee without adding sugary syrups. You can even drink some of them on their own, like the matcha oat latte. Some of my favorites are the pistachio vanilla and chocolate oat. I'm a little skeptical about the ingredients list, though. The pouches contain a creamy liquid. The unsweetened almond one, for example, says it only contains almonds and salt. The company claims on its website that these pouches contain no gums, fillers, or preservatives. I'm glad to hear that, but I still have some hesitation about what's really in these because almond and salt alone would not produce a creamy liquid, and each of them have the same exact consistency. Transparency is important for me. I find the container that the flavor packet pours into to be both the best and worst design aspect of this product. I like that it comes with a sturdy container that the milk gets poured into directly. The silicone lid is also very tight and doesn't have any leakage when you shake it to mix the inevitable separation. However, you can't swap this container for another because it's custom to the Numilk and needs to snap in place so the blender works properly. So when you have one milk sitting in the fridge, you're not able to make another until you're finished with that one. You can solve this problem by buying extra containers. Number 3. Almond Cow Nut Milk Maker Machine. I tested the $330 Almond Cow starter set, which includes the milk maker and a few accessories, such as a rather cute branded glass milk jug and a cleaning brush. The process of getting milk from your electric cow is simple. Add water to the vessel, between 5 and 6 cups, put the dry ingredients in the filter cup, twist it onto the bottom of the lid so the blender arm is in the materials, put the lid on, and press the button. The Almond Cow then grinds and mixes everything, a process that takes a few minutes. When it is done, the light on the top turns blue, and the milk is ready. The pulp is kept in the filter cup, which you remove and clean by hand. A collector cup is included, which fits over the filter cup to stop it dripping everywhere. The vessel also has to be rinsed out between uses. I found the milk the Almond Cow produces was delicious. The high-speed blender with multiple blades meant the almonds were well blended, and little or no grainy plant material was left behind. The milk came out a little frothy, like a pint of albino Guinness. The froth quickly settled though, and the 5 cups that the Almond Cow produces should be enough for a family breakfast or a day of coffee making. After using the Almond Cow, there is a lot of cleaning. Clean the filter cup, rinse the top off, and clean the vessel itself. It's no surprise that the starter pack I tested also included a bendy scrubbing brush that helps get the gunky plant pulp out of the filter. I also found that with chunkier ingredients like almonds, you must push the filter cup up quite hard to ensure it is correctly locked into place when attaching it to the top. That's because the blender blades sit right at the bottom of the cup, and a nut can get stuck below the blades, keeping the twist lock from engaging properly. If the cup works its way loose during blending, it makes a mess and could damage the blade. The easiest way to avoid this, I found, was to gently shake the cup while attaching it to the top to keep the materials moving. I also found that when you pour the milk out, the top of the Almond Cow has a habit of falling off as you tip the whole thing to get the final milk out of the vessel. There is no locking mechanism that holds the lid in place, only gravity. Still, the Almond Cow does an effective job. It makes well-blended milk in decent quantities and does it pretty quickly. What it does not do, however, is handle the variety of other types of milk some machines can. You are limited to raw milk like almonds, cashews, and oats. Number 4. ChefWave Milkmade Dairy Alternative Vegan Nut Milk Maker Machine. If you want to make larger quantities of plant milk or experiment with different milk sources, try the ChefWave Milkmade. It automates the process of milk making but allows plenty of flexibility in the source and quantity, and has an auto-clean feature that saves a lot of time. It looks like a coffee machine, with a loader at the top and a glass carafe at the front. There's even a water reservoir at the back, like a Keurig or other capsule coffee maker, though you have to refill it every time you use it. You take off the water reservoir and fill it to the 10 or 20 ounce levels, depending on how much milk you want. You then put the milk source in the mixing chamber, a glass-lidded compartment on the top of the machine. You then select the cycle from the control panel, and it brews you up a batch in the handy milk jug on the front of the machine. That process took about 18 minutes for oat milk and 45 minutes for soy milk. Once complete, the Milkmade beeps contentedly and runs a cleaning cycle that purges the system and dumps the cleaning water into an internal hopper. Once the cleaning cycle is complete, empty the hopper, and the Milkmade is ready to run again. It's simple and effective, but the downside is that you must refill the water reservoir and empty the internal water hopper every time you use it. Even though the reservoir holds over 40 fluid ounces, most of that is used in cleaning. The Milkmade did an excellent job blending the milk but didn't filter it, meaning the milk can have a slightly gritty texture from bits of the source material. This was present in the oat, soy milk, and horchata that I made, all of which benefited from a final pass through a fine mesh filter. The control panel provides 6 presets, but you must select your desired preset by pressing the program button repeatedly until the one you want is selected. The control panel looks like you could just touch the name to select, but only 2 of the buttons are touch sensitive. You can delay the start of the milk making process so you will have a fresh batch of milk when you wake up, but you only set a delay, there is no true timer. Things that most plant milk connoisseurs like to do with experience. Number 5. Tribus Soyabella Nut Milk Maker. Looking like a slightly overgrown electric kettle, the Tribus Soyabella is a simple plant milk maker that can do other things, such as make soups, infusions, and tofu. It is rather too simple, though. The only option is to make raw or heated milk, chosen by a pair of buttons on the top of the device. This top lifts off to reveal the device's workings, a blender arm and a filter cup. To make a batch of milk, you put up to 4 cups of water in the vessel and a cup of your plant material into the filter cup, which twists to lock onto the top. The blender then grinds up the material and mixes it with the water, while the filter cup keeps the plant pulp contained. The process takes about a minute for raw milk and between 15 and 25 minutes for hot milk, depending on how much water you add. The Soyabella can handle between 3 and about 5 cups of water. When done, pour the milk out, remove the filter cup, and discard the pulp. This works well. While some gritty bits did get through, the filter cup kept the chunkier bits contained. I found the results from the suggested recipes relatively weak and watery. The instructions suggest that you run the cycle 2 or 3 times to get a better result, which was a good idea. It would be better if there were a way to set a longer blend time. There is also no provision here for automatically soaking the plant source, so you must do that manually. The short manual shows how to use it to make soup, sauces, and soft tofu, and includes a good selection of recipes for various dishes. A grinding cup is also included, which fits over the blender arm to grind dry ingredients. The Tribus Soyabella tries to be a jack of all trades but doesn't master any of them. It makes decent milk, but only if you run it twice or thrice. That makes it feel a bit pointless, since it requires a lot of extra work every time you use it.